And now to the other big issue on the national radar these days, that's health care. As members of Congress return to their districts for their month-long summer break to hear from their constituents, the shouting at so-called town meetings has sometimes reached a fever pitch. It's raising the question, is it genuine raw anger or focused, organized anger, or perhaps a mixture of both? Our own Kelly O'Donnell live in Washington tonight with more on this. Kelly, good evening.
Good evening, Brian. Members of Congress expect to face plenty of tough questions back in their hometowns from people who want to know what's going on with health care reform. But the surprise is just how out of hand these town hall meetings are getting and who is behind the spectacle.
Temperatures rising across the country, from Florida to Michigan, Texas to Colorado. The town hall meeting is Democracy 101.
We're not a member of a mob.
Forums for free speech.
I actually have read this bill.
Yeah. But many have turned into free-for-alls.
Obamacare has got to go.
At one point, it felt like people were more worried about drowning each other out than listening.
With crowds shouting to get in, and where members of Congress like Michigan Democrat John Dingell get shouted down. Much of the passion and protest comes from conservative voices opposed to the Democrats' plan for a government-run option for health care. The Democratic National Committee, in a web video, charged these protests are staged.
Now, desperate Republicans and their well-funded allies are organizing angry mobs.
Some anger on display gets stoked by the provocative megaphone of Rush Limbaugh, who went so far as accusing Democrats of wanting the socialized medicine of Nazi Germany.
The Obama health care logo is damn close to a Nazi swastika logo.
To encourage attendance, conservative organizers acknowledge they send email alerts to members, but argue the anger is real.
I think that the politicians should be careful about so easily dismissing this many people showing up and participating in the process.
Virginia Democrat Jim Moran expects to get an earful.
It's fine to be opposed. I don't think it's fine to come in with the objective of disrupting the town hall meetings.
And Brian, with 535 members of Congress, there are literally hundreds of these meetings scheduled. And members I've talked to say they don't want to cancel any of these events, but they are concerned that some people might stay away. Brian?
Kelly O'Donnell in Washington tonight. Kelly, thanks. Now to the White House and the view from there. We're joined tonight by NBC News political director, our chief White House correspondent, Chuck Todd. Chuck, you and I were talking earlier about how the country, even the week, can look differently from inside the White House than it does out in the country.
It does. You know, you go from where the White House is on this, and they look back at this week and they see that they've rescued 2 Americans from North Korea, that they broke a barrier at the Supreme Court with the confirmation of soon-to-be Justice Sonia Sotomayor, that a major terrorist was killed of the Taliban, a figure that is believed that is somebody that might be able to break up the Taliban in such a way, that the cash for clunkers turned out to be a success. Those good unemployment news. So they sit here and say, hey, it's pretty good. But then this healthcare debate and this town halls that Kelly was reporting on, it obviously has the White House concerned. They have dispatched folks onto Capitol Hill. Robert Gibbs earlier today pushed back on the Nazi comparison, saying that those criticisms put some conservatives like Rush Limbaugh on thin ice. And a lot of times once an argument gets down to where you start throwing Nazi analogies at each other, it's almost a way of ending the argument, and it could end up backfiring, which is what the White House is hoping for. But these aides that have gone on Capitol Hill, they're trying to infuse some steel into the spines of these Democrats, saying, look, put some blinders on. You're going to feel some noise. You're going to feel some heat. But guess what? You have some good news to tout on the economy, some good news to tout, they believe, on the Recovery Act, and that should translate into you supporting us and being with us on health care, Brian.
All right, we'll stay with the heat and the noise and all of it when we're back at this on Monday. Chuck Todd from the White House on a Friday night. Chuck, thanks.